The hour of 7 having come upon us.
1 hour.
Okay.
I'm going to call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. First order of business is to review
Excuse me.
and consider the adoption of the agenda for Tuesday, February 17, as it appears in your folder.
I'll move to approve that.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have an agenda. First item on the agenda is the approval of the December 16th, 2014 regular minutes. We didn't have a quorum last time because a number of people had not attended that meeting. Tonight we have Sid, we have Rick, we have Julie, we have Jim, and we have Mike. So at least we have sufficient people to approve the minutes of this meeting, which I urge you to review. I will hear a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting of December 16, 2014 as presented.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Two abstentions, Pete and Rosemarie. Regular minutes of the meeting of Tuesday, January 20. Mike was not here then, Rick was not here then, Pete was, as was Rosemarie, so again, we have a quorum available to approve these minutes, which I have not reviewed. Although you sent them out ahead of time.
She did, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have we heard anything about Jody Turnipseed?
They're gonna wait till after the election, is what I've heard.
Yeah,
Is the election coming up?
election's coming up shortly.
Very, very soon.
Very soon.
March 3rd.
I gotta get on the
Can you believe it?
stick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we'll have a new board.
select board,
Yeah,
okay.
they don't want to handle this now.
He is vying for the select board.
No,
I thought
No.
it was
wants to
this
be a
board.
member,
No.
wants to be a member here, but they won't
They will appoint the
They're
person.
gonna wait and let the new select board or re-elected select board appoint him. That's all.
Okay.
But Blake has already submitted his letter, though.
Good.
Okay, is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting these minutes as presented? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
And abstaining is Mike Slattery. Goodness, I can't escape anything, can I? Really hard work being a chairman.
Gotta keep that pen at the ready.
And I ought to alert this august commission to recall my words last year when Mr. Slattery declined to accept the nomination to be chairman for another year. And by default, I became chairman.
What's it
And my
like?
words were, I will do it for 1 year.
There was no election, it was the fall.
Can I say something about that?
Mark those words.
Can I say something about that?
Mark those words.
Hold on.
I don't think a
Hold
good
on.
chairman
Big
would
screen.
step
Hold on.
down during
No.
this critical time.
No new taxes.
No,
Read my lips.
can we talk about that for a minute? Because this is a great
Somebody
point.
turn
Okay.
I think
term is
in the future that we should each rotate every year. Just like Rotary does and several other civic clubs. Their chair people, their presidents
is up.
are 1 year.
I know.
and you move through the chairs. So that way, everyone gets a turn at it in running meetings. There's a little bit more work to do, I'm sure you'll agree now, as chairperson, but it is not an insurmountable task. Running the meetings is easy. You've run them. You've probably run them, Jim, at times. You've seen them run for 30 years now.
Not quite
So
30.
I would
Getting close,
suggest
probably.
that we adopt in our rules of procedure, that we amend those rules to have a different chair in our reorg every year, and we'll have an assistant chair as we have now, and we'll have then
Here he
first,
I know,
Oh,
this,
here
I'm
we
getting ready here.
We just elected you
and
chairman.
we'll have, we didn't, but it's close.
Thank God.
All right, so that way, everyone knows, every member knows what year they're slated to spend just 12 months.
So you're
Banging the
looking at
gavel.
me like I'm next in line.
Well, you kind of technically are if we go by that.
May I suggest, Mr. Slattery, that while that may be a fine suggestion, that we reorganize in April.
Is it April?
After the,
Yeah.
after the election.
Yeah.
Okay,
And there will then be an appointment.
yeah.
We will then presumably have a full commission. And that is the time when we adopt,
hash that out.
when we
I agree.
adopt our regulations. And I think having it on the record now as your suggestion is fine. Indeed, if you want to make it as a motion, I just don't want to take it up.
No, I just want food for thought right now.
I don't wanna take it up
such
until-
time,
Right.
okay?
We have a full house.
We have a full house.
But it can go back.
Just
Now,
quickly,
now
yes.
is this made up from this board?
Is
Who-
that
who
rule?
take-
Yes, we can
yes,
adopt
that
our own
rule.
rules of procedure.
Yes.
As long as they fit under state statute, we can adopt our own rules of procedure. And
So it
you-
goes no further than.
So you reorganize every year, you know, and that's when you, we entertain motions for a new chairperson and secretary and et
okay.
cetera, assistant or vice
So that's
chair.
done within.
Right.
Yes.
So
Okay.
so here's what we're trying to avoid. I had done it for 6 years, and didn't want to do that anymore. And then, kind of by default, Sid went, okay, I'll take it when nobody else would. To avoid that problem, I think everybody should get a crack at it for 12 months. And that's all I'm asking you guys to do, except for the secretary for life.
Yes.
That's, although the secretary could probably cover
She
both
could do
of
well.
those.
So that's
So I want you
so
to
that's
think about
voted
that.
at the table.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's going to take that spot after that 12-year interim or
Yes,
whatever?
Yeah.
unless we change our rules of procedure to know over the next 7 years who's in line next, and then it's just a simple formality in the reorg in April.
Okay.
And there's no guesswork. And Sid doesn't feel like he's, like that's the night nobody shows up, right? So he's automatically chairman again for 5 years.
That's the night. Okay, yeah, that's good. I like
And,
that.
and by the way, it was a pleasure serving as chairperson.
He laid it out and he's got a plan.
Yeah. That's all.
I don't think being chairperson is heavy lifting. I do think it is a worthwhile experience for everybody to have.
Yeah, I agree.
So we
food
will
for thought.
consider that at our meeting, at our reorganization meeting, which I think will be April 3rd.
Julie, can we turn the heat down just a...
Didn't even touch
I
it.
know you were standing on the
I
grate
stood
over
on
there
it, but I
before.
She's been
Touch
sitting there
it.
since
You're
I came
kidding
in.
me, Mike, right?
I'm sweating.
It is warm in here.
It
warm over
feels
here.
good. Well, I work outside all day.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're just
beginning
getting,
to thaw.
you're just starting to feel
Yes.
the heat. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
So this was a brief on a procedure for.
It was food for thought. We brought it up
It
because
was
Sid,
Mike's suggestion that we alternate chairmanship from year to year to year, and that nobody be chairman for more than 1 year consecutively.
it started with a reminder of Sid's words last year that he'll do it for 1 year. As he took
Unless it's
this
voted from
under
the board that
tremendous
someone else
duress.
will continue on.
And I suppose I could be nominated again. And guess what? I'd do what
decline.
Mike did last year.
Yeah.
And say,
Decline nomination?
if nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve.
I shall
There you go.
That's a-
shall
Anyway.
not seek nor shall I
Next,
accept
next
a
item on the
nomination.
agenda is the appearance of a guest. By the way, I told our Blake
Yes.
that he sent me an email and said, should I attend since I can't participate. And I said, you know, you're welcome to attend. We enjoy you being there, but I can understand it's frustrating to not really be part of it. And he said he'd watch the tape when it came up
Right.
to keep abreast of what's going on.
I'm watching.
And I hope he gets appointed, frankly.
So that he wrote a letter to the select board?
Yes,
He
it's
did.
there.
Okay.
He did.
Good. Good, good.
We don't appear to have a guest. Do we have any?
Rick.
Yeah, Rick's been away. We'll give you 2 minutes to tell us where you've been.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear about Cuba.
But maybe
man.
you don't want to put that on the public record, so.
Oh, I don't care. No, I was in Cuba for
Cool.
a week,
Cool.
and that was amazing. And fortuitously enough, the U.S. delegation was staying at the hotel we were at in Havana, and I met with Patrick Leahy and Peter Welch, and we took pictures together and
Oh,
at their
fantastic.
suggestion and all that stuff. It was very cool.
He's gonna run.
And I made, at breakfast, I
You
made
can
some
sense that, can't you?
suggestions to Peter Welch about the exchange of farmers between here and there, because it's an amazing place, and what they're doing is phenomenal. So there's a dialogue going back and forth. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, but it's a fascinating place.
It
And
is.
all I can say is, and for the record, whatever we learned in school about the overthrow is wrong. And it's really amazing. It's really amazing.
Ah, you came back brainwashed.
No, no cigars though.
Well, I'm glad you went.
Yeah, me too.
That's on
Me
that's
too.
on my wife's agenda.
Yeah,
as a place
it's
to
worth
go.
going.
Can almost
I
swim there.
will talk to you about the complications of getting there another time.
Yep.
Do we have any mail, Madam Clerk? It looks like we have a box full.
We have a lot.
Okay, Vermont, from the State of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation, Patricia Heller is gonna construct a new 4-bedroom home on Mount Anthony Road. Wastewater system and potable water supply permit, Bennington Area Habitat for Humanity, for up on Northwest, or Swallow Hill Road.
Yep.
I got an email
Anybody
from.
want me to pass the mail around as it's being discussed?
Yes,
An
please.
email from the Strong Communities Quarterly for February 3rd. I think I email you guys on most of it.
Mine's
Strong
on the-
Communities
Is that
is a
Vermont
newsletter
Strong?
from Vermont Housing. Looks like Housing and Urban Development, Department of Housing and Community Development. So the name of their quarterly is Strong Communities, but it is from the Vermont Department of Housing and Community Development.
What did I say? Then we got this from Nelson, the Vermont Planning Information Center.
Nelson sent us the table of contents for something called the Planning Manual, which is a Vermont Planning Information Center publication by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns. And I've actually copied that entire volume, which is the planning manual that tells us how to do a town plan. And I've got it here, okay? But you sent this around to everybody, I think.
I did.
And this enables you to download, or at least to read on your screen, with some exceptions.
Thank you, Sid, because I didn't get that.
Because it wasn't mailed, it was only emailed. Maybe your wife has it.
It's very possible.
In any event, if any of you want to read a particular chapter or all of them from the Vermont Planning Manual, that's why Julie sent that around.
Julie, did you send that to
I think,
my wife's email?
I'm pretty sure I did, but I'll double check again.
Okay, thank you.
I'll have to go back.
I didn't get it. But I think we've had an older version of that for 2 or 3 years here.
It's the same, yeah, it's been
Yeah.
around for a long time.
And then I have another wastewater system and potable water supply permit for Patricia Heller.
And
Okay.
where is that?
That
That's,
one is
Mount
up on Mount
Anthony.
Anthony Road. And then I have a land use permit from the state of Vermont for the Bennington Area Habitat for Humanities.
Swallow Hill Road.
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
Isn't that
is that
neat?
where they're building
They're
the
building,
Habitat house?
building-
Yeah,
yeah, isn't
yes.
that neat? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all
Pretty
seen
much
that.
near the top of the hill, the top of the road.
Yep.
Seems sort of
On the
strange
right.
area to put it up in there, isn't it?
They build them where they can get land
Right,
cheap.
and there is a Habitat home there already,
No kidding.
Oh, is there?
yep.
On Swallowville.
On
It must be
Swallow
up toward the end.
Hill. It's toward the
Yeah,
top
it
part,
is
yeah,
over there.
Yep.
yeah. Pretty much across the street from where this house is gonna go.
Okay.
And you know, because you're a Habitat volunteer?
Yeah,
Good for you.
I haven't done much yet, but I said when they come to Pownal, I will be.
Do they have a restore for Bennington, for the local Habitat?
No, they only have a resale store in Manchester.
We have a restore in Pittsfield. You can get anything to build a house. It's really remarkable.
Where in Pittsfield? I'd like to visit it.
Oh, of course. I don't remember the street.
Okay,
I'll
what's-
send you an email.
Okay, yeah,
My assistant's on the board, and she
Oh,
runs
okay.
restore for him. So
oh, okay.
I just don't remember the
So I
name of
know the
street.
company I work for, we serve quite a few of the Habitat houses.
You provide building materials.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
And you send volunteer labor. Some
Uh,
places do.
no.
Some schools do. So,
schools do.
Different organizations do, they'll do a work day.
yeah. Rotary and
Contractors too.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know if they found a family for Pownal yet, cause that's one of the things they need before they really start, is the family that's gonna take ownership.
because they're supposed to
they
provide
sweat
sweat equity.
Yeah. But I think they're hoping to break ground this spring, summer.
Well, they're obviously moving ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I got
That's a good one.
Vermont League City and Towns, from David Dean, House, Fish, Wildlife, and Water Committee. And it has to do, this is regarding, testimony regarding H35 as introduced, which is a draft bill to which the comments this letter, which is agricultural practices. That one.
So are they looking for public comments on the bill by a certain date?
I don't quite remember that. I'd have to look at it again.
I think you sent this to us.
I think I tried
Okay.
to send everything
Okay. I might have missed
in
that.
email, just to be,
Yeah, no, that's good.
Because it's
You're
so
good
much
at
of
that,
that.
yeah. And it
then I-
helps to read things ahead of time.
and then I have another one for register for, local government day in the legislature, February 18th, which is tomorrow, in Montpelier. And I have a link to 2015 VLCT Weekly Legislative Report number 6. And then I have link to February
Unless you're gonna hop on your
2015 VLCT.
Ford tomorrow morning, you're not going to get there.
This
Julie,
is the
this-
agriculture.
This stuff that you're handing out, can I get any of this?
Public information.
Yeah, I can make copies of it for you.
I don't have the,
Copier.
Right, yeah.
No,
Oh, this
the-
is all
I'm not
mail.
even close, Mike.
That's all mail this is all mail that's sent to her.
Yes.
That's
I
sent
can
to
give you a
the
copy of
planning
it.
commission.
Yeah, everything that's coming across here,
Just like we made copies of that solar array that they're
so I can look at it.
suggesting for
Yeah.
Okay.
Cedar
okay.
Hill.
Okay.
Yes, 'cause
We can make
this-
copies of this for you.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
The salesman can go out and
And then I have VLCT news
I'm old
for
school.
February.
It's all right.
And there's
I
nothing
got,
wrong
I
with
got the
that.
name for him anyway.
I'm getting there.
Pat Howard.
And last but least, I have from VTEL, which is World Class Technology with Down Home Services.
I wouldn't go
It's an
over all this.
application.
Sounded like an infomercial.
Yeah. VTEL is a telephone company, right?
It's an application for 98 Barb's Way. And it's.
I'm sorry, it's an
and
application for what?
It is for 9 panel antennas. Flush mounted as centerline height 80 feet and 92 feet 10 inches.
Where?
two
What-
big antennas.
What are they putting up there?
Well,
Julie?
we're gonna look at this. This sounds like an application for a
So- solar
cell
panel.
tower at 92 Barb's Way.
98.
But that's
That's
all
right by my place.
248 anyways, isn't it? Back-
It's on Maple Grove Road.
Public service,
It's a-
public service board.
If it creates energy,
Which-
it needs to be the public service.
Communications or energy.
It is it's the
Public service,
public
yeah.
service board.
80 feet on.
So it's communications as well as energy?
So it's informational
They,
to us.
they did.
Yes, here's the whole application.
I didn't realize it was communications.
For instance, it's out of our hands, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't discuss it if we don't find it particularly.
See,
We
I
find it
question that
distasteful,
too.
and then what we've done in the past is we've sent a letter saying, we understand that Act 248 or the Public Service Board has the final say in this, but if we had our way, we'd like you to comply with the following.
Right.
And most times, they'll do it.
The public service board does say they would like to hear from us.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they have to listen at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So here is the application.
So we should, at some point, spend a little time on that.
And if anybody wants to look at it in depth, I suggest you
It will be
do it
up
during the
in
meeting
my-
or afterwards.
Right.
it'll be
Because
up
we're
in
not gonna
my
copy
area.
this for everybody.
No.
Right,
I'll leave it up there in my work area.
okay.
That is my space.
Are you saying that for my benefit?
No,
No,
but
but-
this is a long thing to
It's-
copy,
yeah.
so you come in and read it.
I'm just
Uh-huh,
assuming.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then yes, he is saying it for your benefit.
But yes, I will need all the mail back. so I
Excuse
can
me.
keep
It gives you
track
the
of it
property
for now.
owner's name, it tells you what it's gonna be, it's a 100-foot tall matte gray single carrier pole, so it is not insubstantial. 9 panel antennas are gonna be on it. And there's a 12-foot wide gravel road gonna be constructed to it, a cabinet on a 7x10 concrete pad
Did it say where?
at 98 Barb's Way.
It's off Maple Grove.
And
And actually,
It's
you
owned-
if something like that, you won't even see it from the road.
there is a
You'd be
location,
lucky.
there is a location map here, but it's such a small scale, unless you know.
I know exactly where it is. It's down from my place.
Okay.
Where is Maple?
Barney
Grove is
owns
on
land.
7, it's towards the dump.
So,
No,
you're,
there's-
are you in a butter?
Hughes.
Oh, okay, Jimmy Q's.
No, that's what's it called.
Okay,
The
he sold the
landfill,
land to him.
the transfer station.
So, Peter,
Pardon
you
me.
in a butter?
I remember what.
No, I am
on this
not.
slide there.
No, it's usually Civic.
I know where it is. It's just before the transfer station, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, there's something called Funny Farm. Oh, I know where Bob's Way. That's next to the gravel pit.
Right,
Sure.
right across from the Funny Farm.
Sure.
Boom,
Sure.
you're right there.
Yep.
Yep.
Kind of on that hill.
Funny.
It's probably a pretty good place for it. It's pretty
You,
Pretty good
You
hill in
won't
there.
even notice it
Is-
unless you're actually eyeballing for it.
Is Verizon
Is
putting this
this
up
a,
or
I was
something?
gonna say, is this
VTEL.
communications?
So who?
Vermont Telephone.
Do they then rent it out to a
They're
supplier?
gonna rent it out apparently to 9 cell users.
Uh-huh.
Here, we'll pass it down. You can read
Yeah,
it.
Well,
I definitely wanna. Can I get this too, sis?
So with this.
You may.
You can come in here, yeah.
It'll be right here.
So
I
is
never
this
thought of
something that would
I
provide
think you should.
cell service to that,
is it just for the
Yeah.
locale or is it?
that's,
Right.
yeah.
Who's your carrier,
Yeah.
you know?
Cause, I mean, one of the things, you know, we, in our current plan is to get broad-based,
Broadband.
broadband out, you know, community-wide.
Well, actually, why would they want to set a tower there? Because the service is good for everybody through that area. I'm in that area. The
And you
service
don't have a
is
problem with service at all?
none whatsoever. It's only going down through the valley. Once you leave like
I-
Barber's
I
Pond,
have-
start down
I have-
down the mountain.
I have
Then you
Verizon
start.
and I can't get service at the transfer station.
Pursuant to its licenses, VTEL
Really?
has undertaken a project to improve and expand its network in Vermont in order to provide reliable voice and long-term evolution, LTE, wireless technology, also known as fourth generation wireless technology, 4G. So you see, you're only getting 3G, man. This is 4G.
What's that mean, Mike?
More bandwidth and faster.
No clue.
Okay,
Sound-
Damn it.
we've gone through the
Okay.
mail and I think we've had some public comment.
Probably did.
So, next item on the agenda is the ZA monthly log.
Oh, I have it, hold on. I know I
A
have it.
question about the ZA and a monthly log. We were honored with Nelson's presence regularly in the past, and since he's on the select board, is that a requirement that he comes to planning commission meetings or not? I didn't know, because he was often
I
here.
think it's required, but I think he should.
Well, he sends his secretary.
But he should give us
But,
insight
I
as
mean,
to
I
some of
don't
these
get
things.
his rate, I don't get any pay from him, so I'm not
There's-
his.
And there's no way to ask questions.
Well, there's no way to ask questions about enforcement, and I want to know about that. I think everybody else does too, so I'd really like him to start coming again. So Nelson, if you're listening, start coming again. He also does serve as counsel to this commission too. So, I think we need him here.
I think
We-
he's been
I
very
don't. He doesn't
helpful.
have to come every time,
Right.
but I think we need him here.
Talking about council between us and the select board.
His job is to
And just
counsel.
with plans in general, he just knows that
Right,
stuff.
right in his CA handbook, it says that, to counsel the planning commission on
Okay.
bylaw issues and things.
Nelson knows where all the bodies are buried.
He knows,
He's
right.
been up here a long time.
But in particular, when people, if we're seeing junk or things that are breaking the bylaw,
It's backlog.
we need to be able to ask him what's going on. And I think that's a good forum to do that, so. Anyway,
It does
I'm
give
with-
us a little better view.
I'm with Rick on that one. I'd like to see him here.
Should we make a request? Is that in our power, or is this enough what we're saying?
No, I think, I think we should formalize it by having somebody ought to move to ask the chairman to direct a letter to the
I'll
zoning
move.
administrator.
To ask the chairman
And,
to,
and
letter.
I should say hi.
yeah, where you been? Man, it doesn't have to be a,
No.
principal type letter.
I never did anything to you.
Yeah, see, did you arrange this, by
Never.
the way? Like I did Julie Smith. Okay, we'll table that discussion for later, Julie.
I was just looking to see in the statutes whether
He has to
it
attend.
does say anything about attending planning commission meetings or being an advisor.
CA handbook.
The planning commission may nominate and the legislative body may appoint an acting administrative officer.
Don't lose it.
Well, I don't see it right offhand, but I will send Mr. Brownell a letter at the request of the planning commission asking him
Maybe you
to
should
periodically attend.
Maybe you should have this.
Yeah, is that a holdover from your tenure as chairman? You
Yeah.
got all the good information and you kept it from me.
I forgot.
Keep it for his next term.
Did you hear what Julie said? You should keep it for your next term.
Yeah.
I second that.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important.
By the way, I'll be in Cuba the month of April. No, that's worse. I'll come back as.
You'll be it, that's right, you will be the chairman.
And then
if
you'll
you
be
miss.
elected in absentia.
That's right. Okay, a monthly log, please.
Okay. For January 15th, he accepted 6, none returned. He did 5 verifications and 1 permit. Forwarded to the DRB, 0. And then he went to BCRC meeting on solar. Discussion on solar with the fire district. Racetrack on any activities progressing.
That may be Progress
Slowly.
Partners.
Oh, no, it's progress slowly.
Oh, okay, yep.
So that's an example
Racetrack.
of where it would be nice to be able to
Racetrack
get some.
on any activities progressing slowly. Meeting with Jim at
BRC.
BRC
BCRC.
and discussion on
The
medical center progress. Doesn't say with whom, or the
Right.
subject matter,
Or how it's progressing.
or how it's
yeah.
progressing, or timing. Okay, well, we will
It's his love.
draft a little letter and ask his attendance.
Can I just ask you to repeat in reference to the racetrack? All that was said is it's progressing slowly.
Yes.
That was it. That was it.
I think he had discussions about the racetrack, any activities progressing, parentheses, slowly, close parentheses. Okay, town plan. We left last week with the suggestion that we look ahead at the next chapters of the town plan as it exists to recommend what changes we think should be made.
I have a question, or if I might digress for a second, and you might have covered this because it's in the minutes from the meeting. I was not here. So under the town plan work, under 1.0 introduction, number 6, it says add terrain, also add wind development such as biomass, solar, and energy. I'm not understanding what that means.
Are you referring to minutes?
Yes.
Well, it is in the minutes, but it possibly comes directly
Okay,
from the town plan.
these were Mike's comments that he made in writing because he wasn't able to be here.
Right.
Which is, I don't know if it's in your purple folder. Look, Mike's original looked like this.
Oh, yes.
I've been trying to
It
put
is.
everything
And
in
I
there.
have not had a chance to look at that yet, yes.
What part,
It's number 6. 1.3 is the statement of objections.
Oh,
in
number
the present-
6.
In the present town plan. And your suggestion about that, Mike, was,
discuss energy endeavors for these areas, question mark. What I had here. 1.3 statement of
Of
objectives.
objectives, and number 6,
Yeah.
under that,
Discuss energy endeavors for these areas. In
That's
essence,
what Rick's doing.
right, that's right, so number 6.
no, he made it sound like I was voting for
I-
biomass projects.
I didn't know who put this together, or if this in fact came from the old town plan, I just didn't understand number 6.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're reiterating my notes here,
Maybe
are you,
not.
Julie? This is a discussion for everyone, entering also.
well, let me refer you to what
Yeah.
1.3 statement of objectives number 6 is. It says, keep the rugged and poorly accessible mountain
Right.
and forest
Talking about
areas
terrain.
free from development, reserved for forestry and recreational
Oh, including
uses
biomass, keep them out of there.
appropriate to their wilderness character. And your excuse me,
Now I
your
understand.
suggestion was to perhaps add wind development,
Right.
such as, query whether biomass is wind development. I don't think it is.
It's not.
Solar, comma, energy. And I think your handwriting was hard to read, and I think what you were saying is, in the rugged and poorly accessible mountain areas, do you want to consider wind generation? And it's something that we have to
Right.
talk about.
Right. Where
Now,
it's
is
hidden.
this one generation gonna profit Pownal?
We haven't gotten that far.
We haven't gotten there, but that's.
We wanna-
Because any of the other ones
We-
I have
we would
seen
like it- we would
down
like
in
everything.
Mass have nothing to do with the area. It's all shipped down to the Bay States.
But,
And-
but,
and
but Pete,
that's
we would
true
like
of the
all of
solar.
those to benefit Pownal. But all we're talking about now is a vision for this town as to what exists. What does it look like in 5, 10, 15 years? If we're up in the forest zone, is that where we want to be able to put strategically placed wind? Whoever benefits from it. Are we ever going to allow
No,
it
not
in a
whoever
place like that?
benefits from it. We should at least benefit from
We-
it if
I
we're
agree.
friggin' if
I
we're
agree.
looking at it, Mike.
I agree, but we have to determine whether it can even exist there before we figure out who benefits from it. But
Well, I
Trust
think
me.
that whether it exists depends in part on who it benefits, and
Oh, no doubt.
I'm
Well,
very
there's
confused.
no doubt.
I'm very confused.
'Cause I
about
know a
the
lot of
jurisdiction.
people down in Mass that
Yeah.
are awful upset that all this power is going down around Boston and everything, and it's ruining their landscape.
yeah, I
I mean-
agree. We got to put that
I
in.
mean,
We can
they'd
actually
be
add those
acceptable
words.
to
Well,
it
that- yeah.
if it was doing something for their area.
Actually,
Are
there
we
are-
second those to public service? The public service board will have the
Well, that's what I was
overview.
gonna, just
Well,
gonna say. I'm very
they determine,
confused about our
unfortunately, where it all
jurisdiction.
goes. Where it all goes. And sometimes the
Well,
benefit
yes.
is a small reduction or something, but I don't know the inner workings of that. If we're going to have any such industry, we have to figure out where it can be. It doesn't matter. I think public service can probably put it wherever they want.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
No.
In the existing, in the old town plan, the reason why Progress Partners came around and developers, Beaverwood came around, was because there was a part of the town plan that said biomass okay. So, so then,
Right.
then the Public Service Board can then judge on whether they want it. But, I certainly could be wrong. But if we put not okay for X, Y, and Z, I don't know that the developer can come and even pose the question to the Public Service Board.
Well, there's two more,
I don't know either. I
there's
don't
two
know.
more,
I'm not
san-
sure.
you know,
No,
well,
because
the
I
door
don't
was
think
left
that
open.
puts their foot
I'm
in the
sorry?
door.
The
Lon.
door was left open there because of a windmill that was put up on the Gardner Farm.
Yeah,
without
and we do
any
say
comment.
biomass is a favorable type
So
of
then the lawyers
energy endeavor.
come in with the biomass people.
That's not like
But-
But
the
that's-
8-foot
Rick-
windmills
but Rick
that
is
are,
saying if that,
know,
if it had
propellers
been
that are thrown up
precluded
there.
from existing
Right.
in the first place.
Would
or-
that have, because from what I understood at the time, developers like that look at town plans, see where it's not allowed,
Yep.
I have a
and go,
suggestion.
we're going straight there.
Let's ask our consultant that
Yes.
question.
Oh, we are paying somebody, aren't we?
We are. I think our consultant should know the answer to that. And
All right, why
also
don't
the
you-
answer to Pete's statement or question is, how does it benefit us?
And our
And if it
current-
doesn't, should we even put up with it?
in our current plan, there are paragraphs that do reference, you know,
Biomass.
favoring industry,
Mm.
whatever,
Yes.
that benefits the citizens of Pownal.
exactly.
sure.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
what I'm
and
getting
that's
at,
what you're getting
Rose.
at, yeah.
Yes, I am.
But you'll see, I think, as we go through this, that a lot of that is just words in the air. There's a lot of
agree.
shoulds in here.
Yes, there's a lot of,
This should,
yeah.
we
or
should.
encourage, or it's not.
It's not we
it's not
will.
prescriptive.
It's
yeah.
none of that.
No, but
And-
there's two more solar panel plans going here on the board. The Quarry Hill,
Cedar.
Cedar Hill,
Cedar
Quarry
Hill.
Hill, and potentially
And
down
one on the
on the
north side of the
346.
tracks. Right.
Yeah, on where
The
the
Mighty
water.
Food Farm, putting them up.
That's the street that they're on.
Mighty
but
Food
no,
Farm?
I don't think it's Mighty Food Farm
It's
putting it in.
across from
No, it's across
you, right?
Messina's. It's
across
across
from
from Messina's.
It's the
Across from George's
Cleveland
house.
Dodge, the Cleve Corporation.
Dodge own that.
Well, Sally does, Sally Moore,
Yeah.
the daughter.
Yeah.
And it's going to be kind of neat
And
with the all fenced in, and the sheep are going to run in there with the solar panels.
I mean, it sounded like it was done with some thought about the aesthetics of the community and fitting in. You know, whether it benefits any
Whatever.
individual in the
That's what I was
town,
just gonna
other-
say,
you know,
Rose.
I
Is
have no
this,
idea
is this
tax-wise
solar
or
field gonna,
who gets
do
the
something
energy
for
from
us?
it, or, yeah.
I'd love it if it did. I
Yeah.
wonder if it's totally out of our hands. We have to
Yeah.
find that out.
Yeah, it would be wonderful if, for example, Mighty Food Farm was one of the recipients.
Ah.
That would be great.
Yeah,
Everybody.
and
There
that
you
would-
go.
And
Here-
that would
At
make
least
sense
it
since they're owned
benefits
by the
someone
same
here.
Here's the letter
person.
that we all looked at the last meeting from Morris L. Silver, an attorney in Benson, Vermont, advising the Pownal Planning Commission that there's a petition by Cedar Hill Farm Community Solar for a certificate of public good, not addressed to us, addressed to the Public Service Board, to install a net monitoring group and install a number of panels, each solar array of approximately 305 watts each, and there's a map showing where it's going to go, and it's across from Messina's on Cedar Hill Farm in a present pasture, and there it is.
Cool.
And there's nothing in here, I respectfully suggest, about benefit to the town of Pownal or any use of any part of the power, because I don't think that's what happens to it. And I don't think from what we've seen down at the racetrack, I don't think we get to tax the structures.
Yeah, we get zero.
They
Yeah.
should be taxed because they're affixed to the land. I think
Right.
they're part of the real estate.
So we tore down something and put something back.
But as you know,
This might be a
know.
section
It's out of our
248
hands.
thing where creation of energy is tax abated, forever, for a long time. I don't know, but they want, different sources of energy, which is understandable. As a result, I don't know that we get any taxes out of this.
Well, here's the thing, Seed came along, the program that funded all of this. Now Seed's gone. It's midnight, it's over. So they were sitting with something that's here, and the people that put it in place financially are gone. And I think that an outfit in Spain owns
Right.
the
yeah.
property right now, the
Right.
lease.
A company
Yeah,
in
but it
Spain
started
owns
with a person down in Hancock, Fairbanks, and it looked like a local kind of deal going, and then by the time we get to another party got in there, and then another
Yeah.
party, and
Yeah.
and seed's gone, and we're sitting here like, hey, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Mr. Slattery suggested
Exactly.
that
And
we
then precedent has been set. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Slattery suggested that we ask the consultant. So if somebody want to tell me what I should be asking the consultant?
If we have any control over energy, the energy industry as to how it may benefit Pownal, just loosely stated in there.
There's no advice and consent with that. It doesn't ask the planning board or anybody in town to.
It's informing.
Well, and then if she says no, just says no, it's all public service board and it has to be sold through the grid and everything else. Then we have to determine whether we even want any of this stuff here.
Well, if Green Mountain,
Because
he
if
said
he's right,
slowly, yeah,
and
but if
if
Green
our-
Mountain pursues theirs
Yeah.
and said we're tearing down the building, let's do the whole damn valley.
But if we're not gonna derive a benefit, even if those things are out of sight, if what Rick is saying is right, and we discourage it or prohibit it in the town plan, if we're not gonna benefit from it, then
Someday
let's
it's
think
gonna
about
be-
prohibiting
Someday
it.
it's gonna be a rusty old, bunch
Yeah.
of junk sitting there when they come up with a new energy, kit that's gonna be about that big,
I agree.
and, 20,
But
30
remember
years.
this too, we don't wanna
That's called
also
nuclear.
tie ourselves for the next
We've been
5 to
there,
10
haven't we?
years either.
Exactly.
To have something cast in concrete and miss opportunities because of it. So I guess, let's find out from Natalie,
I
can we
believe-
benefit from any of these energy endeavors? If we allow them, if they're in our vision for Pownal, and then we change our bylaw to reflect acceptance of those.
And I
If we
think
hadn't-
the other question too is the long-term, you know, anticipated impediments to us down the road. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Biomass would have gotten in
yeah,
if the door
We
was
would've-
open.
Well,
People
the
didn't
door was
jump on
open so they could get,
Right.
all the permits filed and all, cause the town said, fine, biomass good. So they said, okay, let's go to that town.
it. So someone named a little small town in Massachusetts at the town meeting.
So,
Yeah, that little, the Village
Little town
Beautiful.
like Palmer, Mass.
Russell.
Russell.
Oh,
the little windmill at Gardner's on top of the cell tower. From what I understand, and we were told by the Land Trust, Vermont Land Trust, that Verizon came to them. Well, first of all, that property is in the Land Trust. They deeded to the Land Trust Gardner's. Then Verizon came to them and said,
Is
"We'd like."
is it land trust or is it conservation easement?
Lane trust.
It's Land Trust. It's Land
Lane
Trust.
trust.
And so, as a result, anything you do in the property, you have to do that, even though you're still living there and you still own it, but you have to ask for the rights if you've given it to the land trust. So they had to go to the land trust and say, Verizon would like to build a tower on our property and give us X amount of dollars per month rent and put it up at their own cost. Land trust said, as long as they put a windmill on the top to generate your electricity, we'll let you do it. Which to me is a great thing. I mean, they're getting electricity, they're not using it, and it's great for them, and they're getting all the rent.
right.
There you
So
go.
that's a win-win, and that things like that are good
Right.
for the town because it's good for them.
Right,
That's why
yeah.
it's good for the
If
town.
it's good for citizens. it's
That's
good for
right.
the
Just
town.
step
That's
back one inch, we're
But
gonna
they
have a cell
also-
tower on this property.
They had applied for permits for them too, though. They had to come to the town for permits.
well, we're all the way out in the energy section, which is number 13.
Sid, let me sneak by you.
So,
What page we on?
Well, that's, I mean, if you look at the energy, it's page
Thank you, sir.
43, it's 13.1.
well, it's like you said about, the Dollar General people, they look at towns.
Yes.
These people
if you're
hire
not-
people to go in and look, oh, this is an easy one, this is an
Well-
easy one, just don't waste your time here.
And it's bound to happen to us
business.
again because developers look for towns, number one, near state borders, and towns that are not affluent. Because they think they will get no problem, and they won't get a lot of people objecting if it's next to a state border, because the other state won't care. Well, that's a state issue. We can't be involved. Our argument, of course, about the biomass was that, well, is the pollution a state issue?
Right,
You
it
know,
doesn't know.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
so we just did the energy section, we can skip that. To
I don't
number
know if we made
13.
any really decisions.
Well, you got some good
Yeah.
questions to ask, though.
But yeah,
We do.
I've got a half dozen questions.
Yeah.
So I will sit down until Pete comes back.
And there's town books out in the other room, if anybody.
New ones?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
brand spanking new.
yeah, there's one there. Nice,
This
she
year's-
did a nice job,
It is very nice job.
Mr. Adams.
Oh, cool.
It's not like last year's.
I was gonna say, no controversies this year,
Oh, there'll be controversy.
but in terms of the content of it.
Oh, well, somebody's gonna,
Thank you, Sid.
Was it the school kids last year? Was that part of it?
Yes, but not for this year. There's no
No.
picture, well, there's a picture, but no.
Okay.
Like that.
you'll appreciate it.
It's
Things
a,
getting lower.
We need a
than
new
tape
tie.
money.
a business stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no,
Very cool.
yes.
What I miss?
I second
Oh,
that.
wait.
You didn't miss
nothing.
anything,
We have
really.
time out.
We couldn't do
called time
anything
out.
without you.
Yeah. All right, we were supposed to look at sections 4, 5, and 6, which are residential development, housing needs, and business and industry, and suggest what we should be doing, considering, thinking about for the next edition of the town plan for those items. So I'm happy to hear anybody's suggestions.
I can give you some more notes, but I'll read them this time.
Okay.
Then 4.0 residential
But
development.
can you leave a set of your
I can.
handwritten notes with the secretary?
Yeah, I can. Sure, and then she can put them in my. I don't have my pen. I don't know where that is.
Here.
I put down, no, that's all right. 4.0, I put down residential development, those opening paragraphs needs complete complete overhaul. I mean, it needs complete overhaul, and do we even want to use it? You know, one of the things, as I go through these pages of notes that I kept seeing was the word shall.
Yeah.
I kept seeing that all of these outdated facts, even outdated when this was done. And by the way, no, I wasn't part of this. I came in right after this in 7 when they started to do,
Disclaimer.
they started to do the bylaw changes that resulted from this. Is when
okay, I thought you were
when I
longer
came
than
on.
that.
I had just missed that fun. And it was Pete who was burned out who nominated me. And then, do we need all this data in a vision statement? And I wrote this a bunch of times. Or do we just reference some of these facts, you know? I mean, this has got all of these facts that are, number one is outdated. Even if we updated it, can't we just put it in simple form and say the trends are? So here's where we see ourselves in 5 years, or 10 years, or here's the vision for Pownal. But my God, it's like, you know, given Pownal's current lack of centralized sewage treatments, all of that has changed.
changed.
All of that
Yes,
has
yes,
changed.
absolutely.
So this has to be thrown out,
Yeah.
and I think all of these sections can, I don't know, I think a vision plan, a real vision is not wordy. I understand there are 14 sections that we have to have a vision for, and we probably have to supply some fact for. But this is too much all the way through this, as I read this. I mean, I'm reading this going, I don't care about the 1990 census, and I don't care about how many camps permits were issued in
These are
1972.
statistics.
Yeah,
And I-
statistics.
It's not future
It's
oriented.
like, it's not a vision. And
But in here, one of the visions was to create the infrastructure of a sewer system, which has been done.
wow, there's tons of stuff that have
And
been
I
done,
don't know
actually.
that we have actually articulated yet what it is that we want as sort of the major project going forward. You know, if it's infrastructure or something else.
Or do
Well,
we,
he's-
do we,
he's
do we
on
even
to it,
need
though.
it? Do we even need one centralized?
You're going 5, 10 years.
That's your
Right.
mission statement. This is a vision statement. This is what we see. We're all living here 5, 10, 15 years from now. Here's what it looks
How-
like.
do we
Looks what
want it
we've
to look
seen.
like?
Here's what we've accomplished.
I will tell you, Julie will confirm this, that Natalie has said you do have to have some baseline information about what you are,
I'm okay with baseline. I'm fine with that.
and you can move from there. We don't have to describe in lugubrious detail how many houses and how many this, how many that.
Yeah.
But you have to describe where you're starting from.
How many camp permits in
looks like-
1999?
Well,
don't-
you know what you like? You like reading a textbook in the school, and one book says, someday we're going to put a man in the moon.
History book.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but then
You're right.
throw that book away.
So just my opinion is that it's too wordy, and a lot of the words are, you know, we shall have safe housing.
Right.
Trust me, I'd
Doesn't
rather
make
read
it happen.
shall and may.
Don't
We shall have
And you
the
may point out to us.
When you say that, though, you're talking building inspector, permit,
You know what says that even more, Jim? We will have.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a town
that's what that
that
says.
has
Yes.
now you open
safe
up a different door.
housing.
Right.
So here's, let me, just a little statistic. I think we're gonna be a bedroom community, okay?
Yeah, I don't.
Julie, who bought the land in Mount Anthony? Don't tell me a name, where they from?
New York City.
Color, 622,
23 acres.
Street, New York, New York. Building the next house we just talked about. The last 3 permits probably are from New York City.
You know why they're building that house?
Why?
Because they're friends of mine, and they're here.
Why? I don't really care.
I'm just telling you. that.
Referral
But I'm
basis.
getting it.
Thanks for
That's it.
bringing them to the
That-
tax
Okay,
base.
but I mean, we
Well,
know,
right.
But
we know
here's
why
his
people
point.
buy land here, because they got a friend in
There-
Williamstown, or they got.
He didn't
but-
set up a business here, and as the president, he's building here. Is what he's
Correct.
saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying,
and
but I mean,
totally
these
get
people
that.
they're looking us over.
Right.
Some of the people in town don't think we have anything.
Sure.
I'll bring in something from Green Mountain Park when they were gonna do the casino.
Yeah,
And it
but
showed
people-
what we
Those
are.
people got money.
Let him finish.
Location.
purchase something like
Pownal
that.
has location.
Sure.
Of
3
course they
hours
have
from
money.
Boston, 3
Yeah.
from New
But
York.
that's
Of
not
course
the
they
issue.
have
What-
money.
I know, but that's
It's
not the
not.
issue. The issue is we have a lot of land, we have some infrastructure. They bought 22 acres. He said, that's outrageous, $9,000 an acre. It's not to them.
Not to them.
Not to them, but you take someone from town, they wouldn't even for.
We understand that. We're
Yeah.
trying to
Hell
find a
no.
vision. And he is opening the door now with, we shall
Yeah,
have.
if you're opening
okay,
the door
certificates,
for
Rich, you're gonna
that.
do certificates of
Of occupancy.
occupancy, you're gonna do all.
Building inspection.
At some point, we gotta bring in a bank officer. Because some of these things, if you have a
Boy,
loan.
that's a great idea.
No, because what do you, not because we're deciding you have to have it, but the bank wants
What
to
do you
give
wanna
you a
see?
construction loan. Do you have to have? I know a guy that built a house here, and he could not get his last part of his money because they wanted a certificate of occupancy. And he
Yeah.
keeps telling Pownal doesn't have one. Well, he had to jimmy around and do something else to get his final
Yeah,
construction
junction
money.
or
How different is Pownal than elsewhere in Vermont? Because I don't know.
It's different.
It
Very
is
different.
very different.
Very different.
Oh, yeah. If you
Yeah.
go up around Burlington and through
Yeah,
there and.
but it is
Yeah,
not
but you're
that much
talking
different from
cities. If you're
Stanford.
talking towns
So from rural
the
areas,
size of
it's the same.
Pownal,
In all
Yeah,
rural
Shasbury.
areas,
it's pretty
Vermont,
much the same.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty
Bennington
much the
is
same.
the same.
What?
At Bennington, the
No.
town of
No,
No,
Bennington has a
now
very
you're
sophisticated
going
system.
in a bigger population.
because it's a town. Because it's a
You got different
Shasbury,
codes.
Dorset, you know.
Shasbury has the same population according to these new
Yes.
updated numbers, and you know they have a building inspector and they have all of those things. I do believe.
And they'd love to have our septic and water.
Yeah, sure.
We've got more pluses than we think we have.
Okay, so anyway,
And
do we need all
can
this
I-
data?
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Is that the kind of a thing, though, that you were talking about previously, about looking beyond our town and working with neighboring towns?
Well,
so
that's something I want to keep on the back burner, but I want it always to be there, which is that I think the town of Pownal, the planning commission ought to urge the town fathers in Pownal to try to plan to coordinate activities with other towns in the county
Yeah.
so that we can save money on certain kinds of municipal functions.
What activities you talking about, Sid?
Well, one could be a transfer station. Does every town have to have its own transfer station? Should every town have its own building inspector? Should every town have its own constable? I don't know. I know that in Massachusetts, we tried very hard to get county-wide things to be done, and every town wanted its own little piece of the action.
Yep.
At
But
great cost.
finally, after 20 years, Lee, Lennox, and Stockbridge have one building inspector. Lee, Lennox, and Stockbridge have one Board of Health guy.
But most of those guys are from other towns that do the inspection.
That's right.
Because it's
Sure.
conflict
But it's
of
shared
But they
interest.
can
resources.
pool
It's
those
not the
resources.
conflict of interest, it's to save money. You have a
I
building
always thought it was
inspector,
conflict of interest.
you have the Board of Health guy. How about fire departments? Do we need all these fire departments?
We already
And
share
maybe we do because they're
ambulance service.
volunteer. And
But the
I don't want,
questions
I
need
don't
be
want to
asked.
start, I don't want to
know.
start a war in town.
No,
No.
but they're
But
great.
isn't it silly
things to
for the
think about.
town to
Yeah.
pay for every single municipal service?
When-
Wasn't it silly in some ways for the town to pay for its own sewer? Could you pump it to Bennington? I don't know, maybe not.
Williamstown.
Pump it to Williamstown, sure.
We dump
take
it down
That's,
there.
that's downhill.
But I mean,
Actually,
I know.
their
It is.
treatment plant is very close.
We use it. She takes it. She takes us leftover solids down to Williamstown.
Adams and North Adams combined transfer stations, I think, years ago, didn't they?
Anyway.
So the
it-
president-
The constable's
I don't
right.
want to get off on
No.
this. This is
No.
this is a
I didn't
diversion that I
mean
don't want to
to.
get
Right.
into now.
Right, but the
But
constable's
like
not
the
running
building
this year.
inspector would be somebody who might be shared between
Oh yeah.
communities, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think we're,
Yeah, we're going-
getting in dangerous ground here. I think it's a really good conversation about a building inspector and all, but we also know what we're gonna hear about that.
But he opened the
I know,
door.
that's fine. I
You
mean,
opened
this
the
thing-
door when you said
right,
shell.
Right now, we are formulating
I
ideas
think
that
it's
will
good.
lend itself to a vision of what at least this commission wants this town to look like and feel like 5, 10, and 15 years from now. Not everybody's going to agree with us. Sure. I don't. You know, and
Oh hell no.
we're going to take some
But-
flack
You got a
from
bunch
it.
of-
But Mike,
you
you got
either
to
put-
trickle what you want in. You cannot just throw
Pete,
it.
I've been here
throw it in the
33
pot.
years trying to trickle stuff in. I'm so I'm not going to last 33 more years to trickle it in. So
Really, Mike?
well, not here anyway. Cuba, I'll be in Cuba. It's time
You know what
to
I'm
get
saying?
these things out on the table, whatever the pushback
For
is,
discussion.
for discussion.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not a bunch of outsiders coming into Pownal
We're
to
not
change things.
voting on this building inspector tonight.
Right.
We're putting it out
But
there,
that
and then
changes stuff.
and
though,
then we're taking it to
Jim,
the public.
You know it. The outsiders coming in changes stuff.
You want to regulate certain things so there's
does
safety
change
issues
stuff.
and
I
things
know.
are done in compliance so the next door neighbor is not a victim of your negligence, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's really important to do that. It's protecting the community,
Right.
wouldn't you say?
You want to get another hot button topic out there?
Ooh.
Should you
Go
immunize
ahead,
your
throw it.
children
Well,
against measles?
Okay, all right.
Never mind.
All right, all right. I'm not going to get
That's not-
teachers on it.
That's not what I thought you was going to throw. sir.
Should you check your handguns at the state
Well,
line?
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that?
Okay,
All right, we're getting out of hand.
I didn't say that.
We're getting out of hand. Just quickly, 4.1, if we follow along, because I'm not going to read them. I just went update. It's more data. Again, data. 4.2, I like it. Policies are good. Okay, I check off 5 through 9.
Can I add
Okay.
something about 4.2?
Sure.
It refers to a method of making certain that the rate of growth does not excessively burden the town's financial capacity.
Yeah.
It talks about adoption of a capital improvement program. Do we have such a thing?
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. But understand the intent, right? Is like if some
school.
giant
Right.
industry wants to
Yeah.
move in
Oh,
here
no,
and
I
it's 2,000
understand that.
people.
But it references that Act 250 states that in towns which have duly adopted such a plan, the burden of proof shall fall on the developer. And I thought,
then-
I don't even know if we have.
That's why I said I like that one.
Okay.
Well, it does make sense, doesn't it?
Mike is right. The concept is that
Yeah.
if you have adopted this
Right.
and some project is coming to your town, either a big subdivision or a racetrack
Right.
or a biomass
Whatever.
plant, the developer would have the burden of establishing that he wasn't going to overburden the town's
town's
resources
resources.
if you
Right.
had this plan in place
Right. Yeah.
and knew what your capital outlays were going to be.
Okay.
And if he was going to bust the bank of your capital
Right.
outlays, then you could say, no, you can't do it as
Right.
quickly or as big
Yeah.
as
Right.
you want.
Here's a great example, though, Rosemary. Under policies, the bottom of 22, residential areas should allow.
Right.
Should allow. Residential areas will allow for single-family homes on 1 acre lots, if that's it. And I
That's
circled 1 acre lots and
Yeah.
things like
Maybe
that
this
because
is
of the
Natalie,
cluster.
maybe this is a Natalie question.
Sure.
The wording of should and shall
Mm-hmm.
and will.
Uh-huh.
Are
Requires
these
whatever.
binding words, or is this vernacular that we're supposed to use in the town plan?
I
Should
don't know.
and shall.
I hope not. I hope not.
Or can we be more direct and have the whole question
With
is
teeth.
enforcement about everything.
Right.
So if we do all these wills,
Shalls.
we will do this, we will do that. Where is our enforcement
Right, and the word
to-
shall is
to create that?
kind
you
of
know?
soft, isn't
That's
it?
why we got a
Well,
gal
Let me
coming in.
Yeah,
get us back on track a little bit. There are 9 numbered policies as part of residential deeds.
I gave them all thumbs up.
And so that's the question is, how many of these do we think should be in the plan going forward? How many of them should be, I mean, these are pretty bland.
Yeah,
Right.
And
they are.
they're apple pie,
They have to be tweaked
And
as far as
motherhood.
words, but
Yeah.
and therefore you can say yes to all of them.
yeah, you can.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I did.
Well, I think that we should, I think they all are motherhood and apple pie, and I think we should be a little bit more critical thinking about them, but I haven't.
Well,
Oh,
you
no,
probably
no, I'm-
condense them and combine them, so some of them are duplicitous, but,
As
but
they
they-
stand,
not,
they're
I
okay.
think none of them are wrong.
Right, that's all I'm saying is, you know, this was major overhaul, tweak, or throw out. These are okay as they stand. Do we want to use them? Well, it's a whole separate meeting.
But you can discuss these things, you can put them
Sure.
on the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when the racetrack was gonna go to the casino, they were gonna build a big hotel. All of a sudden, guess what we need? We need a ladder truck. No, it was real, it was on
Or
the
a bigger
table.
net.
Well, no, you needed a bigger fire department.
Correct, right.
You needed a
Because
ladder
you
truck.
need- yeah.
So the track was gonna buy, you know, the ladder truck for the, if the casino came. There was so many issues with the casino. It was an interesting thing.
Isn't it interesting to hear consultants to the casino industry now saying,
We gotta
now
get
that
you.
they're underway
Yeah.
in Massachusetts
Yeah,
and
you-
New York,
Yep.
whoop,
Sorry in the dirt there.
all of those projections are not worth the paper we wrote them on,
The
because you
revenues are-
aren't gonna get the revenues out of these
close 'em.
casinos that you thought you were.
New York's starting with all these highfalutin numbers, and all of a sudden, the research is there. They're not there.
They're not there, yeah.
If I was the Gillespie group, I'd run away from
Really don't
being
think we
Schenectady.
would.
In
Like
terms
back
of,
in the tracks day.
I'm sorry?
Maybe
You
back
don't think
then.
we get that revenue? Maybe back then, Moy?
Yeah.
Oh, back then, that's a different time.
were
but-
on
Well,
the
back
lead
then,
then.
yeah, we
but
did.
Everybody, New York
The
wasn't
track
there.
took
the-
care
Turning Stone and
took
all
care
that.
of
all those
everything.
places are, we're talking 40 years ago.
All right,
I know. I'm showing my age.
quick, and I can just
Bob.
give you, I only have one more page and for everything, so I'll just give you quick, just off the top of my head, under 5.0 housing, on page 23. First paragraph doesn't make, or doesn't completely apply anymore. There's no high cost of financing. It's still, I've been telling people interest rates are going up for 6 years, and I don't predict the future anymore. Because they haven't. It's still a great time to do that. Now, the other problems, if we choose to use them, as to the age of existing structures and the employment base here in town, is responsible for the severe housing problems. Severe housing problems? Is that a safe characterization?
I would say.
Okay,
say
okay,
that. Oh,
yeah,
sure.
that's first. See,
I
I
think
under.
I think the housing stock in this town is not up to standard.
Yeah,
Right.
there's exceptions, right? But it's not up to
Affordable
standard.
housing is not up to standard, right?
So, you know, then
And-
you start to think about a statement like this with the employment base, bedroom community,
There's-
people from New York City coming here. Who do we attract? Do we do all this about industry and everything else? Or do we just make it look better and nicer to attract more New York City people?
I-
I'm just looking at the
don't-
trend.
I want to.
I don't think it's one or the other.
No.
I think
Well, it
I
could
think
be
you
both.
entertain all, it could be
I-
both.
It could be
yeah.
I
both,
think
but
you
how do you
entertain all
fix,
those things.
how do you
But
But
I
I
fix
open
think
an
one of the
eyeglass shop or
things we
something.
have a
Whatever it is.
responsibility to do
People will spend money.
is.
Let's not talk cross
sorry.
Yeah,
purposes.
Okay.
go ahead, Rose.
Rose,
You know,
Marie has the
this is,
floor.
you're talking about bringing other people in, and something you said, what do we benefit from? I think one of our real responsibilities is to look at, when we talk about policies about housing and stuff, how do we support affordable, sustainable housing for the people who already live here?
We're here.
Many of whom,
There you go.
when this was written, where they live was substandard. And over the decade plus, it has deteriorated even
It's
more.
worse.
Yes.
See that, yeah, that's
And
what I
what
think,
do
but I
we-
don't know.
What do,
Oh, there's
I've,
no
I've
doubt.
been in some of them, so, you know,
And I
So-
think,
and I think there are ways a town, it's not the town's responsibility to pay for housing, I don't think, but we can create things that encourage people and even inform them. I mean, one of the.
About what's available to
What's
them to
available,
improve
you know.
their current situation.
You know,
Absentee
one of-
landlord
is
our
yes,
problem.
Is a big issue, yeah.
was 2 of them.
but you can't
But-
legislate
No. I
against
know.
absentee landlords.
Right.
What you
But-
can legislate for is minimum standards of
Yes.
fitness for human habitation.
Right, and enforce them.
And that's both a health question and a building code question. But if you require that people have well-insulated, carefully constructed, substantive
Yeah.
housing. And if we can come up with a program of substituting out, I mean, mobile homes are a valuable source of affordable housing. It's just that they don't last as well as a
Sure.
stick-built house.
Sure.
So you try to move people from a mobile home to a stick-built house, or to a duplex, or a triplex,
Okay.
or a four-family.
Now you've opened up another door.
Well, but I think
There you have it.
those,
The motels. Now, this is a big problem in Vermont. New York has a rule now that you can't stay but 30 days
Yeah, I
in
just
a
saw that.
motel. And down
Is the
there
whole
in
state, or is
down
it
in
Albany?
Adams has the same. I mean, they have the problem with the motel in Adams. The
So
law-
people that want to do long-term leases can no longer do that.
30 days, you can only stay there for homeless people or stuff.
Well, I don't think we have that here.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at this half at the motel.
Well, down, across the border in
No,
Bennington.
right here, down the hill, next to my place. Half of it is,
Ladbroke is?
yes, it is. Take a look. That size.
Oh, I never really gave that an eyeball.
And,
They're my customers.
and the problem is the state supports that with the way they fund homelessness.
Sure.
Yeah.
Motels, I
Well, it's
talked to
good
my
for the
Ladco
motel.
guy.
Yeah.
I
He
think
said
they-
if there wasn't,
they
the state wasn't
supported,
doing
uh,
this, the motels would all be gone.
Wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah. Ladco services all these motels from here to Manchester, and their money is from people, homeless people.
One,
Okay.
This
One
does
of
talk
the-
about this
Or
in detail.
prisoners.
yeah. One of the things when Doreen and I were looking at this section originally, a year or so ago, we came upon a thing about, I think they're called Irene houses. And they're structures that are low in, I mean, they're affordable housing, truly affordable. They're built, they're not fancy at all, but they're energy efficient. And they were built to replace homes that were, they were designed as a quick solution to homes that were destroyed by Hurricane Irene, which is why they're called that. But I think
Sorry.
looking and trying to support that and give people information. In Bennington recently, they developed a renters program, Renters 101, a course that simply informs renters and landlords and tries to work together with them. Now, the absentee landlords, I don't think the working together is necessarily going to work. But if when a person rented a mobile home, if the town had something which they handed to them that was, understandable and sort of gave you, what are your rights, what are your recourses?
with all due respect, I think, as laudable as that kind of program is, I don't think that's a town program.
Okay,
I think that's at least a county program and probably a state program.
okay,
Because for each town,
uh-huh,
here I am talking about trying to regionalize things
Right,
to cut
yeah.
costs. For each town to have a housing administrator who's gonna come up with a set of guidelines to hand out to a prospective mobile home tenant when they
Yeah.
move in, I think is something
It's
more
asking
than
too
the
much.
town.
Okay.
You probably
Yeah.
need to
Have
get
to
it to
take
the
on.
owners of
Yeah.
the parks anyway.
Yeah.
yeah,
The tax man
Uh-huh.
is our problems. Someone
What?
came in the other day and bought a trailer in the Alta Trailer Park. And he said, I give $1,200 for it. And I says, you better just go up to town office and find out if the taxes are paid on it. Because historically, that's what's
He's got to
happened
go
in the
back
past.
and pay the tax.
Well,
yeah.
I sell it to you, you sell it to him, he sells it to him. Nobody pays the taxes. Somebody's in the book for, and he's been long gone forever. And then we have done in the past, gone down with a tax sale and looked at the trailers and said, oh my God, we're gonna have to tear this thing apart. It's gonna cost us money to. And Nelson will
Because
tell you
it's not
that
fit.
for maybe 25 years ago.
Yeah.
wow.
And, we never wanna do this again. We're not gonna go back and take over this.
We're certainly not gonna have a tax sale of it.
Yeah, we don't
Some
want to be in the
properties.
real
Yeah.
estate
Yeah.
business
We did it
anyways,
once.
do we? As a
Doesn't all
town?
this come down to enforcement, though?
Sure
all
does.
these issues
Uh-huh.
come down
It
to
come-
Right.
reputable
Only,
enforcement.
I mean, I don't know that
It's talked
there
about.
is a law that says, here are the standards of fitness for human habitation for the state of Vermont.
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
if there
there
is,
are,
there may
I
be.
No,
Uh-huh.
there's-
And
Hey,
if there
ask Jim
isn't a
Gilbert.
statewide law, should there be a townwide law?
It's,
Or, again, is that something the town ought to involve itself in? I don't
there's
know the
state
answer.
laws that Jim Gilbert enforces here in Pownal.
Right.
So the problems we had up the road here, when he went in and condemned those two places, he was using state code.
Right in the
Like
fire
when-
marshal.
Like when somebody's walking through their living room, they fall through the floor in one of these things. That's a violation. The furnaces are a big problem in these things. Those are violations, obviously.
If
I
we
mean,
if we would have taken our trip, we would have seen some things we could have talked about.
a lot of cool
And we
stuff.
we're still
we
gonna take that
need
trip,
to do
but-
that.
A lot of, just let me read just for a second. In the past, a number of mobile home parks have suffered from overcrowding, inadequate waste and water facilities, and aesthetic problems. It is the town's interest that all mobile home parks strictly comply with the state regulations in order to alleviate situations detrimental to public health and safety. Furthermore, all parks should be located in areas capable of supporting adequate community sewer and water facilities. Did it say should again? There's that word.
Well, this was written,
Number 4, mobile home parks should provide for safe and convenient access and proper disposal of sanitary waste. Parks should contain sufficient
yeah.
land area to provide community recreation space. Blah, blah, blah. Existing parks should be upgraded to meet public health and safety requirements before carrying out any plans for expansion. We do that now. We do that. We change the bylaws to reflect that with tie downs and setbacks and safety measures and things like that. In the floodplain, they have to be up 3 feet, etc. So there has been some progress made. But there are such grandfathered laws on the rest of it that if you have Jim Gilbert in here and you ask him what truly constitutes a violation, he says, you gotta go a long ways. Oh, it's gotta be horrible for him to be able to step in. And we can't go back on the grandfathered stuff. We can wait him out.
I just, when you keep going back to that, when you have to remember, when this book was last done, per se, it was 2006.
Right, that's when this was
These have
adopted.
been just rolled over the last 2 times. Nothing has been done.
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah.
So you have to.
I came in right after these parts were written. This was a major overhaul, this one that we're reading here today. So if it's gotten worse than this, they're talking about some pretty bad situations now.
No, it wasn't. This one that
This was rolled over?
Yes, that was rolled
Well,
over in
Pete-
2006.
Pete did a lot of work on,
2002 was when this book
The
came in.
original.
Because
okay.
we've just rolled them over.
So this is
The
really
last
The
2002.
historian.
Right.
Well, that would
This
explain some
has-
1999 stats in here,
Right,
wouldn't
Right,
Yeah.
because it
They were
hasn't
relevant
been
then.
Right.
it? Sort of. They weren't too
rolled-
far.
so
Pre-Civil
you keep
War,
going
yeah.
back, you have to remember, this has not been technically updated and
But they talk about some of the things that
Forever.
Rosemary talks about in here, like providing services to make sure they understand what their rights are, and providing grants if they're there to
Right.
upgrade existing structures. It's all talked about in here.
Right.
But it's all the words shall. This is,
Yeah.
we
No
shall do
And
this.
we
we shall-
don't actually do it.
No enforcement.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. And I'm wondering if, Natalie can just, shed some light on the wording, because wording is really important, as we're all saying. But do we have a leg to stand on if we put the word will, then that means we have to
to do
back
it.
that up. Now, what is our ability to do so?
I don't know if you have to back it up. You back it up with the bylaw. Your vision is
town plan is a
doesn't.
vision,
Yeah.
the bylaw
Yeah.
is
Is how it's.
the
Okay.
regulation.
Yeah, this isn't the concrete. However, you want them pretty close.
But even
You
though,
want them pretty
even
close.
if we kick the can down the road and it's the DRB that has to enforce it, are they able to, with our word will, then enforce what we're suggesting
that's-
here as a vision? Are they
They're
able to do that?
enforcing, they're granting permits based on our bylaws or variances of our bylaws. So they pretty much have a lot of leeway to do that, except in certain areas. We just want people to get a feel of what this place is gonna look like. Here's what, it's
Okay.
gonna be really cool to live here because.
Right,
Well,
because you're
that's-
protected,
There you
because
go.
we care about you.
But Julie's the only one who went down
Yeah,
and
but they're
checked the
not
tie
gonna feel
down.
like that.
It's
They're
gonna
not
take a lot of work.
You
Pete.
are.
No, they're not.
I did this because I
Take
just.
a lot of work.
You checked what?
I don't believe
I
so.
went down there
It'll
because
take a
we
lot of
did
work.
the permits and I wanted to
Yeah,
make
will
sure
one.
that
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I
it
mean,
was efficiently
Look, and
come
I
at
down
first,
and
they,
stuff.
no, they're
I'm not naive
they
about
think you're
this.
helping-
The
they think
dribble
you're
in-
picking
In the
on 'em.
past,
The dribble in stuff
They
here,
just
I'm not naive
slither
about
'em in,
how
yeah.
slow progress can be here either.
I took
Okay.
pictures. and the
But
whole
if we
thing.
don't take a
Good for
big
you.
shot to take a big bite, then I don't know. We're always going to have these problems.
They're gonna feel picked on, Pete? That we're looking in a certain direction and not an older, what do you mean?
To make it safer and better?
No, they're
Really don't know.
picked on.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah, you really don't know.
yeah.
No.
No.
No, that's what they'll say to
Maybe
you.
I've
I'm
been here
on the wrong
35
side of the
years.
fence.
Yeah, that, why
We're
are you,
forcing
why
our
are you
will.
picking on those
We're
people?
Well, no, that's why those people that have these problems
Yeah,
gonna
no, I
feel like
understand.
you're picking on them.
Yeah, okay. Well, we may have to cross that bridge when we come to
Oh,
it.
but
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I thought we
I
were
mean,
trying
really?
to protect them.
Yeah,
and
you
not-
are.
I
Right.
know
Yeah, but
that's the
not how they
vision.
will see
But they're
it
gonna
necessarily.
think the opposite.
Yes.
I believe
That we're
so.
making a judgment on how.
I
they live.
believe so.
Well, then, you know what? We have
Yes.
to figure out a way to overcome that.
Yes,
and,
sir.
and do this at the same time.
Yes,
Good
sir.
point.
I mean, our voters list keeps growing, the number of people. I think it's over 190 from last year. You know, there's people coming here. That we don't, you know, I checked the voters list and there's 190 is pretty good.
An
Yeah.
increase of,
And-
of registered voters of
Of registered
190 over
voters.
last year.
And,
Yes.
and would you say the majority of that is new people coming in, or is that people who have been sitting on the sidelines and deciding?
I would say a combination of both, but Bill does a good job for all parties. He gets anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when somebody
Social,
comes in,
economic,
yeah.
he doesn't matter
He's
to him.
registered,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Bill's probably responsible for that.
yeah.
Sixth paragraph, Pownal's housing stock also contains a considerable number of older homes, many in poor conditions. Deferred payment loans, low interest loans, or a combination of each should be used to assist homeowners in upgrading their houses. Just words and
Some of those
floating
poor
around, man.
girls,
Residents of Pownal should be made aware of all the possible sources of assistance available. Well, that's exactly what you're saying, Rosemarie. But this was put forth or rolled over during some tough times, and then absolutely nothing was done about it. And that's what I mean about the bullet points, the 14 bullet points. And we got to know this from Natalie. Do we really need that kind of depth to paint a picture of what we want it to look like? I know we need some basis. I mean, we have to cite some problems that we will fix, not should be fixed. But I think we
Here's
need
what I'd like to
we need a
suggest.
lot of guidance on
Here's
this
what I'd
thing.
like to suggest. Number one, I think we should invite Natalie to come to our next meeting.
No, we will invite Natalie.
Well,
kidding.
nobody's made a motion.
okay.
Number two, if that's going to be a useful meeting, in addition to the numbers of questions that I've written down, all relating to wind power, solar, biomass, location of, ability for the town to derive benefit from, taxability of, etc., all of these kinds of questions that I was going to ask her, and still will. But I think that we ought to have a thoughtful table of contents of questions and direction that we are seeking. If we're going to get her to come here, all the way down from Middlebury, to spend an hour with us or 2 hours with us, it ought to be profitable for all of us. And I think the only way to make it profitable is to tee up the questions that we want to ask. So
I agree.
So,
Reading her
1,000 of them.
stuff though, Natalie knows a lot about us. I can tell you,
Yeah, that
going
6
through her
page
thing,
or 6
that
paragraph.
she knows as much about us as a lot
She
of
did the
people
book
do.
with us. And
She,
to that.
she's
She
going to
did-
tell us some things.
She's the one that did this
I'm not
book with
doubting
us.
that.
Yeah.
But I want to have a list of questions or areas of discussion. She has this online, so she knows what this says.
She did this book with us.
Okay, but
Both of them did our book with
so
us.
we can say, is this right or is this wrong? Should it say
Do we need
shall
this?
or will?
No.
That's not the point. How do we get from this
To a new.
to something that we
New vision.
are proud of and that we want to be the vision? Because Pete's made a very good point, and it's something that you know better than anybody here, I think, and that is that there is a distressing combination of lack of interest and lack of motion, a great deal of inertia and embarrassment and resentment about having people suggest
society.
alternatives to you, and I understand what Pete's saying.
Oh,
People
Oh,
don't
no,
take
he's
it well.
100 I know
People
where he's
do
talking
not,
from.
and we shouldn't be sitting here talking about the people either. I mean, that's
No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no singling out.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a natural reaction to somebody telling you you're not doing that right, or you live in bad conditions, to get very defensive over it.
One
We
of
know we live
the
in
best
bad
bumper
spots.
stickers I ever heard of was up in the Northeast Kingdom, and it says, "We was hunting here before you came."
Yeah.
You get the feeling now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of things
Yeah.
that bumper sticker is in Pownal, not just about hunting though.
If you don't like logging,
Yeah,
try
before we went
plastic
with the
toilet
four
paper.
wheelers going through, we went through this. But what breaks my heart is that I can't really help anybody. Is some of these little girls are stuck with owning some of these trailers that they can never own. They're paying $328 a month for some substandard the lot rent alone. And I've listened to them. Two have worked for me. I said, you can never own that piece of junk.
Never.
And
I know what you're saying, Jim.
and then
That's not
Brock,
right.
Brock comes in with our people and helps out these scumbag landlords. I'm on television. There we go again. But the guy that the article that I gave the board one night.
Truly.
I know about the third world country.
Yeah, you know who wrote that? A guy named Arthur Ashe, and he's now Senate Appropriations. I was reading an article on him the other day, and he is the fellow that was working for a different agency after that flood. And Mr. Ashe came down to Pownal and told us what we needed to know, that our trailer parks one trailer park looks like a second world nation. And it was a front page story. So they know some things, but I don't like what's happening at the motels. There's the park, it's over the banking. The best thing about the Alta Trailer Park, it's over the banking. You can't drive by it every day. And I'm not picking on those people in there. There's some damn good people in there. They're just trapped. They got stuck.
They're trapped.
And they're trying like hell to get out, but it's just, they can't.
And we
Yeah,
don't.
that's
and
what I
we-
was saying, Jim, because that's all they got.
and we
There was
don't
some
have
people
a-
you go in
That's all
there.
they
We
got.
don't have an
Yeah, I
affordable
go in there.
housing alternative.
We don't. No.
No, we
And
don't.
It's grandfathered. It was put in here when zoning came in '72 or something like that.
And probably when it was put in, it was not, it wasn't substandard.
It was nice.
It was, yeah,
Well, that's
Yeah, all
back in
those
the
were
heyday
nice.
of the track.
it's just,
It was nice.
it has, yeah.
I'm trying to get some people to give me some pictures of it. Over where Creole Girl you go
Yeah.
to, that was a swimming pool area.
Oh, really?
Very nice. I remember it well.
But why such deterioration where something like the spruces did not deteriorate at near the same degree or rate as up here? I thought the spruces is even older, I think.
A different class of people run Williamstown than run Pownal, okay?
All right.
But even
They know where
Cozy
the money
Meadows,
was, they know
yeah.
how to get it bought out.
And there's a lot of enforcement.
There's a lot of enforcement, but I mean,
It's a different.
FEMA,
right?
someone knew how to pick up the phone and get FEMA in
You
here.
couldn't let the siding fall off.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
could
FEMA
put
came
it
right in,
next to the
and they ran the whole, and that was due to not just disregard over the years, that was due to the storm. And maybe the place was, not great, but the storm put it over the edge. So then
Yeah,
they
it
could
did.
they could
What's
get
the
those
park
funds.
up here in the hill? That's
Cozy Meadows?
Cozy
Very
Meadows.
nice.
That's perfectly nice.
Looks
Nice.
pretty-
Oh,
totally
okay.
fine.
And cheap, inexpensive, but cheaper than down below. But
Lampman
he has
take-
rules.
But
Lamp-
you have
Lampman
a,
takes
but
a good
you have a
landlord
care of that.
landlord
Yes.
who's
Oh,
Always
there's
has,
the
right?
point.
There's the
right.
point.
Oh, yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
And
present
when these
one.
parks were good,
Because
the landlord lived
was
there.
present, yeah. It's the exact, it's,
Jim
Yeah.
Williamstown's doing a good job with Green Mountain. Very good job.
Brian,
He's
yes.
turned that over.
But I
Yeah.
said earlier, you can't legislate ownership.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's the, yeah.
Brian Mallard. Yep.
I want to go back to
With
my
your job.
suggestion that we have Natalie come down here, but let's not, let's
Thoughtful
make it a
table of-
useful, let's make it a useful visit.
You said
Anybody have
thoughtful
anything
table
that
of
they,
contents
in
and what?
particular, that they?
But
that
before
they-
she comes down here, which would take a lot of effort on her part, and some effort on our part, but a lot of effort on her part, should we possibly send her an email with some questions and then wait?
Sure.
Maybe
That's
we're gonna,
exactly what I
That's
was
what he's
talking
saying.
about.
That's what
okay,
you
so
want, yeah.
before she comes down, so then we can know when, we can put that into our thinking of it, the next meeting, and maybe the meeting after she comes to, something like that, with some of this information.
I'm all for it. Let's get her as many questions as we can to show her how much guidance we need.
Right.
And have her come down for a 2-hour workshop.
Mhm.
Let's sit right here, roll up our sleeves, start through these sections, ask her the questions as we go through them in addition to what we had. Do we need this? Do we need that? Is this part of a vision or is this just a mission?
There you go.
Can we go in
There you go.
order? Like, you get three questions, or kind of be?
Sure.
Tonight we're rolling, you know, we're just doing.
Yeah,
our
we can
thing.
start off and go right around the room.
Well, I
and
think
ask
we'll do
our
it
questions.
section by section as
Yeah.
they come up,
Yeah.
right?
I think everybody submit questions, but
Oh, okay.
I would
like
like,
shoot from
I
the
would
hip.
like to have some, I don't mind shooting from the hip once she gets here.
Right.
But I would like to have some basis for discussion before we invite her down, that's all.
right,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
something for her to process too, to
Right.
bring ideas.
Well, you opened it up when you said a lot of this stuff is irrelevant right now.
It's like a history book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
An old,
someday we're gonna put a man in the moon.
right, yeah.
And it's-
And how much of that, how much of these statistics must go into a town plan? We don't even know the
Sure.
answer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the kind of question.
And you
Yep.
said before, maybe you have to use the word shall. I don't know, I
Right,
hope
that
not.
could just
I'm
be
gonna-
fundamental, especially if we don't have complicit enforcement. That you have to use shall, because if you start using will, then you
Then you're
better, if you're
Is
gonna
that
pull
old
your
game?
gun, you better use
Mother
it.
may I remember that game.
Right.
It's
May
just a
drives
failed
me
vision
nuts.
at that point.
I don't know if
No.
I'm reading into it, I don't know.
It was our vision,
We're
it
asking
just
for
didn't work out that way.
Everybody's talking at once and I can't write down
Oops,
everybody's
sorry.
great suggestions. Anybody
didn't-
got any great suggestions for me to ask Natalie?
Talk to Shell or Will.
Do we need, how much historical data
I've got that.
do we need?
I've got that.
If we're not, and if maybe you guys don't agree with me, it doesn't occur to me that this is truly a vision for what Pownal should look like
It
today.
has glimpses.
It has glimpses. There are
Right.
some things that happened. If we don't need all that historical data, can it be more vision oriented that spells out what we want it to look like, what it should feel like in 5, 10, and 15 years? And how do we get there? Do we understand the state legislates that we have 14 sections that we have to pay attention to?
Is it 14 or 10?
I don't know how many.
Based
Sid's got
upon
it.
Sid's email,
Sid's got it.
it
So,
says 10 required
however,
elements. of
14.
these-
However
14 still?
many, do we need all that historical data, or can we just reflect generally upon a trend and say, when we started this plan, the trend was this, so here's what we envision going forward. And in the meantime, here are some of the things that happened to get us to that vision.
When we all sat down, and I still have it, and I'm sure each of you do too as well, when we sat down and each of us came up with 5 things
Right.
that we thought we would like to see in town.
I think I got those.
And
Yep.
Natalie
Look at them the other day.
got all that stuff.
Jim Winchester
Yeah.
stole 3 or
Yeah.
4.
Yep.
And
Oh, she did, good.
those were pretty good suggestions.
Some of the things are working. We got a group going into the tannery, dam. They've got their permits, their easements and right away, and this guy's Scully's right onto it. So that's
That
one.
was even in there.
Is that gonna be for hydropower?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they promoting hydropower in our old town
He's
plan.
done the thing in Bennington. So he's a pretty intelligent man. And he knows his stuff. He's got his permits. He's got his right away into the
Yeah.
So
dam.
248 got involved with that?
Oh yes, he's been there down. Dennis, I think, is involved with him, and he's
But
done.
they knew we had
hydro.
opened the door. I mean,
So
it
what's the
was
second
right.
one? We think, what was the 5 top things?
Somebody was complaining about it being too hot. Now our secretary
Oh,
is
no, I,
freezing.
you
I know, I
know,
was just looking at you guys. You guys
All right, here's what I'm gonna do.
Okay,
I'm going to,
I'm still
before
on.
the week is out, I will send everybody, and Pete, you're gonna give me your mailing address, cause I'm gonna stick it in the mail to you.
Mailing?
Yeah.
That'd be 37 Stromeyer Road.
Can it go through his wife's email? Didn't I see that in the last,
I can make it,
Yep.
I can mail it, Stromeyer
the
Road.
old fashioned way?
Is it,
Bennington.
that's Pownal? Or
No.
No, it's
Bennington.
Bennington. 05201.
05201. You and Dale McLenathan live in Bennington. I can't.
Yep.
I don't understand
Yeah.
that.
No.
half the people do.
Yeah.
We got
Half the
we
people,
got we got
north of
Pownal
Barbers,
numbers, but
just the
Half
rural
the,
is the
north of Barbers
delivery,
Pond
the mail
Road live in
delivery.
Bennington.
Steele's Crossing, just about south of that, across from Rock Maple Gift Shop. I think
Yep.
they're all
Right,
447.
I'm gonna send a draft, and I expect everybody to come up with suggestions and helpful comments and things, because I'm very reluctant to
Drag her down here.
drag her down here
Yep.
unless we get something out of it. We're paying her to help us, but I want to
Well-
make sure it's useful.
Excuse me, Sid, she may have a bunch of suggestions for us to prepare for that meeting too,
Yeah,
once
That's
she
true
gets
too.
yours.
That's true too.
She may
And-
say, before I come down, guys,
Okay,
I want you to do-
lay these things out.
all right.
Okay.
Anything else for tonight?
Schedule the tour of Pownal?
I'm gonna wait till it gets warmer.
Okay,
Some snowbanks get down.
yeah.
Cause that
we
day
can't
before
predict
Julie called me, said it was canceled. I said, "Oh my God, it's so cold outside."
I remember the day we went to look before the permitting was done. Oh, that was the
Tam.
DRB though.
Yeah,
Before
when
the
we went
permitting
down
was
with
done
Tam.
for TAM. That was the coldest day until this winter.
It
This has
was-
been the coldest
Oh, that,
February.
yeah, Saturday morning, you
This has been
guys.
the
That
coldest
Saturday morning.
February in history except one.
Really?
In 1934 was the colder February.
I
That's
remember
before
that.
my day.
No, what I said to Monday last night was, how can you imagine being in the middle of the Depression, heating your house with coal, and having
Being colder
the
than this.
colder than this?
Yeah, you're right.
What hardship,
We was snug as a bug in a rug, I can tell you.
were you?
Yeah.
I'd say it's
We all
before
slept in
my
the same bed.
Remember,
Had a big family.
Before my time.
It is before mine too.
I was-
Well, I think we had
You want a
lots
motion,
of,
to
we
say
had
no?
lots of interesting discussion. I don't think we had a lot of forward motion.
Okay, so.
But it keeps
I
building.
think this has been one of the better meetings we've had.
No, I think
It keeps building.
Julie, can you make copies of that? Put them in
in our folders.
not tonight,
Okay.
next time around.
Did I hear you about to make a motion
To
Wait.
adjourn.
second.
So our next meeting is the 17th
of March?
March.
And
St. Patrick's Day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Can't say welcome.
It's not a national holiday, and you can't come
It is
drunk.
if
No,
you're
I'm
Irish.
happy. I'm happy to be in March.
When your name's
You can't have
Slattery.
green beer?
Oh, you have to have had one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
One.
No, actually,
We don't
I'm
meet
fine.
till 7.
Oh, okay. I'm
No,
German
they start in the
Irish,
morning,
but
don't they?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I still celebrate it.
Oh, yeah. You're drinking on both
Mr.
sides of that
Winchester,
coin.
You have to do your letter.
Oh, I got to I'm out of
Did we
here.
make a motion?
I made a
No,
motion.
no, wait,
Second.
I want to, excuse me. All right, we can do this after the meeting's over,
Yeah.
but I want to hear the rest of this. We've had a motion made and seconded to adjourn the meeting.
I don't even know who made it.
All
so-
those
I made the motion to
And-
adjourn.
And
You
Rick
seconded.
seconded.
Yeah.
Rick-
All those
Sorry.
in favor say aye.
Aye.
Now, Mr. Winchester, what were you about to say?
My term is up.
I understand that. But you
You're
are
not-
going to submit a letter seeking reappointment, are you not?
I expect to go to the selectmen's meeting Thursday night because the town office committee is going there, so I will have a letter for them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.